Yeah.
So we had an imposter, is what you're telling me.
You're feeling better now?
No, my brother kind of liquored me up a little beforehand. He gave me this great stuff in Portugal. I'm just avoiding the scale
Is that what it was?
because I have not lost the weight.
So your brother lost the weight for you, but you really didn't lose it.
They found him face down in his waffles, maple syrup dripping from his fake robe. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that he should.
All right, buddy, welcome out to the Lager Room. It is Tuesday, January 19th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you, and with me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Mr. Samurai.
Hey guys, how we doing? And happy National Popcorn Day.
Happy National Popcorn Day.
So we got some popcorn here. Yeah.
Today is National Popcorn Day.
And I've been eating the popcorn. I'm not a big fan of. I love popcorn, but just not today because you know what? Cheese doodles are the superior snack food. I'm just saying, fight me. But it is National Popcorn Day, so
It is National Popcorn Day.
I don't know, whatever.
So you're not eating popcorn on National Popcorn Day? Seriously?
No, I'm still eating the popcorn, but I've still got the cheese doodles here.
Maybe somebody can make popcorn doodles.
Wise, are you listening? Hers, are you listening? Trademark it.
Anybody? Yeah, exactly.
So I know that it's also another auspicious day.
It is. It definitely is. Today is also happy National It's My Daughter's Birthday Day today. So
Which one, John?
that would be Marina. Happy birthday, Marina.
Hey, Marina, happy birthday.
There we go. I just want to wish her a very happy birthday. She's my eldest daughter. 27 years old today she is.
Yeah, there's going to
Which
come
is
a
odd
time
because I'm only 37, so I'm not sure.
There's going to come a time
out.
she's not going to want you to tell everybody how old she is.
Yeah, well, she probably didn't right then. So
Yeah,
she's
you're
probably going to
probably-
be texting me any minute saying, why the hell did you do that?
Uh-huh.
So, but anyway, today's her birthday. Happy birthday, Marina.
Happy birthday, Marina.
Enjoy the day. And the podcast if you're watching.
Well, you know what?
I
Let's
think
have a toast to her.
let's have a toast to her. Well, before we have a toast to her, why don't we bring in our guest?
Oh, we have a guest.
We have a guest today. We do, as we usually do, most of the time. Anyway, today's guest is none other than Mr. Greg Taylor, co-founder and lead brewer for Source Brewing. There he is, right there.
Hey, Greg.
How's it going, Greg?
Thanks for having me. Doing well. Ready to crack open a beer with you guys.
Yeah, as we all are.
All right, so yeah.
Well, then why don't you go first, man, if you're ready?
All right. Yeah, we
Go for it.
might do a little slow pour with this Italian Pils that we've got here. So this was canned this month, 5% ABV, real bone dry Pilsner that was dry hopped. Pour it down and then kind of top it up a little bit here, get some nice foam working. But very light, probably the lightest Pilsner that we've done to date. We love our lagers. I feel like I needed to have a lager on this podcast. And
Gee, why did you figure that?
Someone has to.
Somebody's got to have a lager on this podcast.
ales, that come through here, but we're going to showcase the lager.
There you go. Very nice.
Well, especially you've got a lagering. Don't you have a feed from the lagering tank right to the taps?
Yeah, that's something we're really proud of. Is
That's a beautiful thing.
the German lagering tradition here, and then being able to get tank to tap. Of course, when the tap room is in full force, we do nice slow pours and proper glassware with all of our lagers, different faucets, different gas pressures, everything to get that perfect pour. So this beer's kind of been sitting here, so we'll then go ahead and top it up and get a nice kind of brimming head of foam there, defying gravity. That's how we like to serve it in the tap room. Little jiggle here, but
There you go.
yeah, we do love having lagers on. They take a long time. This beer from brew date to tapping is probably like 11 weeks or so.
Wow. That's a long lager.
Had a big dry hop, so time and temperature is what gets it brilliant like this. But no findings, just really quality European Pilsner malt. This one was dry hopped exclusively with Citra Lupo Max, which is like a concentrated pellet with all the aromatic oils really concentrated in it. So really comes through with that good hop character, crisp, clean, refreshing, as a lot would be.
Very nice. Very
Cheers,
nice.
guys.
Here's that. Dave, you want to do yours?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm not down in Jersey, so I don't have a source for Source.
I wonder if
Well, I've got a source for
you got a
Source.
source for Source, but
I just haven't hooked up with that source recently. So I'm gonna stick with Rhode Island, where I currently reside, and I'm gonna go with a brewery called Buttonwoods. I'm not sure. Have we done Buttonwoods on the show yet?
you have worn a Buttonwood shirt on the
Yes.
On the
I'm not sure I
podcast,
drink.
but
So what we're gonna do is Princess of Chaos.
Princess of Chaos.
This is they call it a mixed media sour. Mixed media is something that they like to do. They also like mixed tapes there. And this is a mixed media with, you would think I'd be able, I got to put the cheaters on because we're not all young like Greg. This has got mango.
Hey, you're older than me, so.
Yeah, I am. Shut up. This has got mango, cocoa nibs, and pistachios. So that is definitely mixing up the media.
Mango, cocoa nibs, and pistachios. That.
Yeah.
Would you, Greg? Seriously, would you have thought of brewing a beer with mango, cocoa nibs, and pistachio?
Combo. And
And I have a Source shirt that I should have worn, but it's too late to change now. But I've got this. This glass looks familiar.
Glassmates.
There you go.
Yes, there we go. Glass twinsies. So this is pouring really pale, paler than I remember it the first time. But I think the last time I drank it, I had about 4 or 5 of them. Before 4 of them. Oh, we got some Lees in there. You can see we got some.
Yes.
Should have rolled the can, but
There you go.
that's odd. But it's odd, but it's tasty.
Now, can you get? Here's my question though: can you get the mango, the cocoa nibs, and the pistachio separately?
The mango is the first thing that really hits you.
And
The pistachios kind of. Yeah, the pistachios there. The cocoa nibs a little weak for me.
yeah, I mean, to me, looking at that beer, I'd be like, I'd be shocked to get any cocoa nibs out of that. But hey, you know what? I've drank beer before that, impart flavors that you wouldn't think that would be coming out of.
This is like watching a lava lamp.
Yeah.
John, open.
Yeah, I'm going to do that myself. Well, speaking of mango, I am going to, shockingly enough, drink a Source Mango Tango, just released last week, as was the beer that
Line.
Greg is drinking.
Mm.
Right. It is a 7.8% milkshake IPA.
2 ends to the extreme on that can release.
Yeah, slightly.
Bit pills and then the modern day milkshake hazy fruit.
Did it bring all the boys to the yard?
It it has brought
It brought the Hayes boys to the yard, right?
It brought the Hayes boys to the yard.
That under a can one time. It was
There
like
you go.
bringing it to the yard was the little goat coat.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, now since we've all poured,
And there we go. That's
Here's a
drink out of this
proper
Source glass.
a birthday toast to Marina.
Happy birthday, Marina.
Birthday.
Love you, honey.
Close.
Hope you're having a great day. Oh, that is good. That is really good. I haven't. This is the first one I opened. I bought the 4-pack. I picked up the 4-pack last Friday, but I haven't
That
opened
means
one
you
yet,
have
so.
3 left.
No, I have 2 left. I put one in a box that I have to bring somewhere on Saturday.
Hopefully it's going up a little north, to like the Vauxhall area.
It's going to the Vauxhall area. Yeah, I'm meeting somebody for some honey something or other.
Stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, no, this was really good, and I took actually posted it on the Jersey Johnny Instagram and the Lager Room Instagram. I took a picture of the 4-pack with the brewery in the background. I think you saw it.
And that is a beautiful property you have there.
Yeah,
Thank
and that's where I'm leading to this. That's just
you.
know.
We're now here.
Oh, not just the indoors is fantastic, and then you're upstairs, correct?
Yeah, I'm on the 2nd level, which we it's a nice separate nook that if we were in the pandemic, do private events or just like a good adults only section that we do.
And those doors right there lead out to the patio, right?
That is, the rooftop terrace, which you can get the great sunset views here in Colts Neck. Every day you get like a wild orange, pink kind of sunset going there. It's a really cool place to have a beer.
It's really, really cool. I've
nice.
taken a couple of the pictures that I took for some of the blog posts that I put up on the website. They are they're fantastic pictures. I mean, it's so easy to get a good picture whenever there's a sunset behind a building. So
It is.
yeah, but so let's dive into this. What first got you into brewing?
First got me into brewing was trying some beers that kind of shocked me internationally, that I was not quite of age in the U.S., traveling around Europe, had some beers in Brussels, and didn't really know the beers could be a certain way, certain, ABV and flavor profiles that, you kind of think it's limited to
Right.
the mass marketed lighter lagers that we all grew up with. But yeah, I think it was the exposure first, and then realizing that, you can make this at home. And then I just got a bunch of books and started reading like a $100 homebrew kit from Bucket. And
Did you start off with Papazian?
yes, the Complete Joy of Homebrewing was the first one that I read. That's what I recommend to other people. I recommend it to many people.
Yeah, relax and have a homebrew.
Yeah, that's the good mantra. Yeah,
Yep.
He reminds you throughout it, and you really, if you're getting all stressed out over it, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You're not doing it to save money on beer.
I may have had the third edition of that book.
Yeah, I think mine was like the 7th or 8th or something. But
They're up to 13 now, I think, right?
geez.
Dave, you bought that book when they were still chiseling it in stone. So, but in any event, yeah, it's great. Did you now you went to brewing school, right?
Yes, I went to Siebel Institute of Technology and their partnership with the World Brewing Academy over in Munich, Germany, Domen's Academy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I finished the master portion of that program. And
In Germany, you finished the master portion program?
yeah, that was an amazing experience.
You started in Chicago.
Started in Chicago, yep. And it's the oldest brewing school in America.
Sure.
So when I decided that I wanted to go plunge full steam ahead into brewing, I thought that would be the most direct route. So I just brought myself up to speed as much as I could. I got a scholarship for an online concise course in brewing technology that they offer. And on their recommendation, like, hey, you might want to, this is an advanced course, get yourself some heads up first. So did everything that I could. I left a stable job to work at a brew pub just to get closer to the beer making, and was doing an online class while I did that. And then went over to Chicago and Germany and met some people there that are now running breweries all over the world. This past February, almost a year now, right before they shut everything down, I actually did collaboration. It was Source's first ever collab with another brewery. It was international with a friend of mine, Bruno, from Brazil in the Gonçalves region. So I went down there and we brewed up a dark saison using some local Rapadura sugar, and it was a cool experience. But yeah, it was great to meet those folks who are now out doing great things all over, and definitely some future collabs with some other classmates ahead.
Nice. That's great. Not to put you on the spot, but what was your when you were in Chicago? What was your go-to brewery stop off at?
Ooh.
Not to put him on the spot, but
Not to put him on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Yeah.
So
I'm sure there was more than one, but what was your?
yeah, there was a bunch. I remember for the local, there was Haymarket Pub we walked to a bunch.
Sure.
That's cool. School was actually on Goose Island, so there was the Goose Island there, the
Sure.
food pub. And then, since I've been from school, there's been like dozens opening.
Sure.
There was one that it was used a lot of like mixology and ingredients you wouldn't typically see, and kind of combined cocktails and beer, which I thought was cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, they got quite a scene popping up there. There's like,
Yeah, it's crazy now.
I would have to go back and think about that one. There's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Was Revolution open?
Half Baker Revolution,
Yeah.
Revolution. When we toured them, I was a Siebel graduate who ran that place, and they were like in the 30 or 40% growth, just like going crazy.
Yeah, they exploded. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when the first time I went to Revolution, I remember that we went to the brew pub, and I think there was 33 beers different beers between casks and what they had
All
on.
those different colored fists.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, all right, well, we're here for the day because I need to try every single one of these. So, and granted, most of them were flights. So,
bring a sleeping bag.
Right. So, but yeah, it was cool. It was cool. All right. Well, what other breweries did you work at? You mentioned a brew pub. Obviously, you worked at other breweries before.
That was an Iron Hill.
You worked at an Iron Hill. Okay.
Right, that's heard of them. And then I worked at Weyerbacher Brewing Company right out of brewing school. So,
interesting.
We are familiar with Weyerbacher.
Make a mental note of that one, but
hold that thought.
Very big, bold beers with character. I think that's still their part of their brand, and it's certainly true. It was a lot of Merry Monks, Blithering Idiot.
Blithering Idiot's what put them on the map.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because it was one of the greatest names of a beer that had come out yet.
Yep.
Yeah, the beers were.
That was fun. I learned a lot there.
Yeah. Always fun. Always a fun trip out there, and there's a lot of stuff opening up right around there too. So now it's
the Lehigh Valley's hot.
Yeah,
breweries.
It really is.
Well, and that brewery's expanded. The tasting room is nice now. It's it's not just pallets with a top on top of it, where they're actually pouring some things from the kegs, but some of the stuff's getting poured out of the bottles.
Yeah. Well, the first time, while I was working there, it was when the law changed to let them sell pints. They used to only be able to give people free tastes.
Right.
You would go and it would be like a small little plastic shot glass.
Yeah, I remember that.
10% beers, and you're like driving, you check the place out, and when they allowed them to sell actual pours, then that really opened up that taproom aspect.
The only neat thing was you could mix a case.
Yeah,
that was really cool. You can go through they had that wall of cases, remember, and you can just go through the boxes and just pull out individual bottles. Yeah,
that was cool.
Sunday Morning Stout and Reserva were my two favorites.
Which one?
Sunday Morning Stout and what?
Sunday Morning Stout and Reserva, which I think
Reserva, the raspberry.
Silver in the last JBF, I want to say, for American Wood brewed beer, something like that.
Very nice. That was probably the year that it wasn't. But that beer, they can get that beer so sour sometimes. One year it was almost raspberry vinegar.
Oh yeah, you got a.
That was, and I loved it.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with it. It was just like like Pucker City.
It was amazing.
But that's great. Where'd you first hook up with Phil?
I hooked up at Weyerbacher actually. So I was brewing that day, and somebody kind of notified me that this gentleman was coming who had created this invention that is a beer dispensing technology. Company is Physics. Bill was a inventor and co-founder of that company, and that essentially took your growlers and bottled and canned beers and served them through a battery operated device that would utilize sonic wave technology to optimize the foam in the beer for increased head retention and to give off more of the volatile aroma compounds and for a mouthfeel component. So putting, I didn't know I was going to, meet and I had no idea what the product was, kind of just hit me on the spot with it and got my raw reaction. And we put like tiny, big, like 12% Belgian stout through it, and really gave a nice head retention and foam that I didn't see pouring it from the bottle myself or even on draft. So I was right away thinking, all right, this is pretty cool. I like what it's doing in the beer. There's something to this, and kind of struck up a good rapport with him and thought he was on something, and was looking to kind of advance forward and do something more with beer, and kind of jumped in and offered to join that team. And that's what moved me to New Jersey about 5 years ago.
Well, where are you originally from?
I grew up in Delaware and then Pennsylvania. I went to school in Pennsylvania and worked there. So now Jersey is my home. I'm in Asbury Park right now.
Now, do you utilize that technology at the brewery?
Not that specific physics technology, but because coming from the background where the foam is so important, that was essentially the complete focus of both of our professional lives for several years. For him, even longer. So the kind of the way that your brain interprets the signals, the trigeminal nerve, and the the bubble size and the density. Like we knew that is a factor, as well as the presentation, and all the countless details that go to the overall experience, which is how we designed the business model of Source, was on the experience, not just like, let's make something that tastes good in a vacuum or smells good on its own, but it's something that has the whole package in an authentic, renovated farmhouse, served in its proper glass. We have a glass for every beer style that we serve. And then to answer your question about the foam, we have these European roto flow control faucets that they pour slower, but it's a curated pour that allows you to adjust foam. And if you crack the faucet, it gives a really nice controllable amount of foam. We do different pour speeds for different beers, and give different types of foam. All of our beer tenders are certified beer servers through the Cicerone program, and they go through a lot of training on how much foam, how many inches or whatnot, where the fill line goes, slow pours, nitro pours, all kinds of things. We have side pull faucets for some of our lagers. We have the roto flow control, then normal pouring faucets too, if it's like a fruited beer or something like that. So we're very tuned to the details that it entails to get that beer presented to somebody, because if all the elements leading up to that first sip, you're already gonna like it if all those elements were nailed.
So this is like going along the lines of the cascade on a Guinness, or the way that they slowly pour and I don't understand why they scrape off the foam on a Stella. But they explain the gold around the lip of the chalice. It's a chalice.
Chalice. It's not a glass.
It's a chalice, and they do the scrape. I don't understand the scrape. I kind of get the gold. I get maybe the chemistry is behind that, but it sounds like you've got a hell of a lot more science behind what you're putting out there.
Well, the underlying theme of, I think, respecting beer and like elevating a bit is important.
You just threw out the Stella Artois catch line.
Yeah, is that
respect beer? Yeah, right. Isn't it respect beer?
At physics, we said respect beer, and there's a whole culture of wine around the way that you pour it or aerate it or do this, that, and the other thing with the canters. Beer is, I think, coming to the point where it deserves its respect. You got these really extravagant beers now that can take several years to make. Mm-hmm. We've got our long-term sour projects in the work, and there's definitely an art and finesse to some of these brews. And I think that for me personally, I can't separate my favorite beers from the experience that I was and where I was, and the cool bar or the cool brewery or who I was with, the glassware. Like, it all makes for a better experience, as opposed to just drinking out of a dark room in a solo cup. It's all that. So we don't want to just get some huge industrial warehouse and crank out beers to bars all over New Jersey. We wanted to have people come and drink from the source. So that's why we dedicated most of the space here to the tap room, and that we have an outdoor area in the rooftop and 2 levels, and we squeeze the brew house and all that good stuff in here, because we want to look out and see people having different shapes and size glasses with different color beers, different strength beers, because that this is all the people who are coming of age now. I don't think necessarily had all these great options few decades ago or a couple decades ago.
We can attest to that.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that.
Well, you also have the window where you can see into the brewery.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you can see Jeremy tromping around in there most days.
It's sick.
And if you're watching Jeremy, hi.
He's going for the day, but shout out Jeremy.
Yeah, shout out to Jeremy. How's it going, Mr. Watts?
We're the calm before the storm of canning day.
Oh, Wednesday's a canning day?
Yeah.
There you go.
And that's why John lines up Thursday morning.
Friday morning.
Oh, no, you're there Thursday morning waiting.
Yeah, I get there 24 hours in advance. But I have to be on my phone at 9 a.m. on Friday morning. So.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's great. It's such a great space. It really is. And to hear that, the reasons behind why you did what you did there is just amazing. It's a beautiful space, folks. Anybody listening to this live right now, or you watching it on rewatching it, or you watching it or listening to it on one of the podcast services. If you have not been to Source, go. It's a really cool space. Everything as beautiful as the inside is, the outside is just as much, if not better. So yeah, you definitely want to check that out.
And if you can read John's hat, it says Farmhouse Brewery, and
Yes.
it's a farmhouse.
This was a dairy barn built in the late 1800s. I'm sitting on what was once a hay loft, and there's still a cooling mechanism over there. They bring in a horse-drawn carriage full of hay, unload the hay up here, and then where the brew house is now, there will be all the cows in there. So,
And what's in the silo?
the silo is empty. We wanted to do something cool, but right now it's just an outdoor. It looks great from the outside. Inside, we weren't able. It would have taken a lot of engineering that would have delayed things of getting open, and I thought it'd be cool to do a little round table in there, look up and plan it out. But
That'd be really cool.
there's going to be bathrooms for a second, but it didn't work out.
And that was your original plan, right?
Yeah.
The restrooms out there. But it's if for nothing else, just it being there just adds to the.
You can light them up
aesthetic.
any color we want. We have these cool LEDs, so we'll do like we can do red, white, and blue. We do pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We do green on any other normal night because it's Source Green.
Sure.
But it's cool to be able to illuminate the barn.
How has everything been going with the pandemic and the quarantine? How you guys been handling everything?
We're hanging in there. Everything, all things considered, we're making. We just opened in August of 2018, so this was our first full year, 2020, under our belt. So not much to compare to before that, but we know that it was about 95% of the sales to the tap room, and that was how we designed the business, the model, and the brew house itself physically. And now it's kind of completely flipped on its head, especially right when the shutdown for COVID-19 happened. We had a decision to make. We had tanks full of beer, work in progress beer, and we were, do we just keep going, brew full steam ahead? And that's what we decided to do, and just can everything. So we went to 100% packaging. And then slowly we started to be able to have the outside back open and limited inside. So, you can come enjoy beers here now.
You started off reservation only, correct?
Yeah, right now we were kind of experimenting, what's the best setup. Now we have a first come, first serve. And we just have like a 90-minute kind of window. So that when people come and put their name down, we can give them an estimate of how long they have until they can come.
Gotcha.
So it's been great. We've been blessed, and we're happy that there's demand for the beers, and we're able to sell out our cans each Friday on our releases
In minutes, right?
And then
In minutes.
that gives it a testament to the Jersey craft beer community.
Sure.
You guys are awesome. But it's cool to know that if we needed to switch to 100% canning, we could do that. And we thought we would can as like a little supplementary. We take away from our draft to give, make cans available elsewhere. But it's kind of been about the opposite now. So balancing that, and I don't think we're ever going to stop canning, certainly. Right. So we're going to keep canning, and we're going to keep having a good experience here at the Source. So it really, I would say, just showed us what we were capable of. So in hindsight, it was good for that.
Yeah, there's and a lot of people have said that there's been certain aspects, not everything, obviously, globally overall has been, rough to handle to certain, certain extents. But there's always something that pops up that they've done that actually, is a new aspect of their business or what have you, like your canning and so forth. But yeah, it's. Well, let's hope it's done soon.
We're going to have a good summer this time. We missed summer in 2018. We missed the summer this year, but we've got a beautiful outdoor space. We've been making a lot of improvements.
I was one of the first reservations when you started doing the reservations. We were
all the outside.
We were upstairs.
You guys got to come and see it. As in the spring, if you haven't, come and check this out and you want to, great outdoor space. We do have the inside is open now, so Thursday through Sunday, so you can come and check us out.
Definitely. And
I may see you within 3 weeks.
Cool. Yeah. We
need to make a trip down.
And some barrel tables and all different spots.
Oh, I love the space there. I think I've been there at least 3 or 4 times.
Me too. I've been there at least 3 or 4 times.
You've been that month. And the thing I love going there is growing up I actually grew up in Ocean County.
Oh, cool.
Born in Monmouth County, not too far from there in Neptune. And growing up in that area, Delicious Orchards is absolutely, it's an establishment, right? Mm-hmm. You see the lines of cars around the holiday season and the cops directing traffic into and out of the place. So they're right next door.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Have you ever thought, or have you done, and we missed it, have you thought of doing a collaboration with them, like with their apples, their raspberries, even their honey? They make their own honey.
So we have, we've done some honey collaborations. Actually, the beer I have on deck here, we can talk about that in a second. But we've done lots of collabs with people in Colts Neck, and we had actually had an early pilot batch of some beers that we were using their apple cider donuts in. And
you just said the magic words. Those donuts.
Yeah. For reasons that are totally understandable. I think they have prior relationship with another brewery creating beers with their donuts. So even though we're right next door, I think there was a relationship that they didn't want to
compete on. And
yeah, exactly. A brewery that had been open long before us kind of had that niche going with that. Although completely different beer than we had done. But that's not to write it off in the future. Certainly open to collaborating, and we love to source locally and drink locally, all in support of all that. So
absolutely,
anytime we can get something that's grown in Monmouth, we do that. We try to.
Gotcha. How about the distilleries on the property too?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool little setup we've got here with Delicious Orchards, and then we share a parking lot with our neighbors, Colts Neck Still House, Muckley Eye brand, and they have a cocktail parlor, and they do whiskey, bourbon, gin, vodka, and rum. So
are they producing barrels?
They are.
Empty barrels?
We haven't got their we got the bourbon barrels, and we already had our first anniversary beer we released. We actually aged in a combination of their bourbon and rye barrels and then blended them back together. So that turned out great. And then we have also done a collaboration with the Asbury Park Distillery using their gin barrels for a Belgian triple for another anniversary release. So, we do.
Juniper and a Belgian triple. I like that.
Yeah, right. The style lends itself well.
Yeah.
I always thought that a gin barrel would lend itself to a saison.
Yeah,
more
yeah,
than
that too.
Definitely.
But
I do have a question.
Triple is also it's a great beer for those flavors.
Do you have a question about having the distillery right there? Because I know there's other instances where you've got brewery and distilleries right next to each other, in many different states and in Jersey as well. And sometimes you don't have quite how to phrase this. Where you've got someone starting at the brewery, then going to the distillery, or starting at the distillery and coming to the brewery. And if they're doing both in the same day and they're not really not enough. Watching, not eating enough like me on the last show, right? Do you have any kind of agreement with the distillery that if someone's gets a little sloppy at your place, that you're watching so they don't go next door, or vice versa, or?
Yes, definitely. So per ABC, we certainly are very strict about where you can have our glassware. So first and foremost, we cut off any sort of like intermixing of like, we don't want to see people walking across the parking lot with a distillery glass coming here, and we don't want anybody walking over there with our glass. That's big.
Sure.
Right.
So make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Even
not to mention the loss of the glassware, right?
Yeah, well, that happens. But we do try to kind of communicate and most importantly educate our servers and our taproom manager to be able to identify all those things and obviously to go through their tip certification program. But yeah, we do keep an eye. It's, more of a risk like a Friday, Saturday night type of deals. People who come in, we're not open that late. We're open until it's been 8 since the pandemic. So, typically that kind of crowd might come from a distillery or somewhere else. If they're it's not, ending the night here.
Right.
Maybe not be the best idea.
Time
to start the day or start the night.
Time's a little irrelevant.
Yeah.
John could attest by 6 o'clock last week.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, the food you hadn't eaten all day played a big part in that particular issue.
Oh yeah, not to mention our guest and the whiskey we're drinking.
That was also a problem.
Yeah, probably had a problem. Well, that's the whole thing. We're mixing beer and whiskey on
our guest last week
program.
is a beer podcaster and a whiskey podcaster, so of course we had to drink both during that podcast
because he pairs them.
He pairs beer and whiskey. So.
The only thing I mean, not, and this sounds cruel, but and Tom might be watching, but he texted me first thing in the morning that morning was a little painful, so I didn't feel so bad about the way I felt.
Well, yeah, you texted me the same thing. So.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And then. Looks like we're going on a little trip there, Dave.
Yeah, we're a little floor.
I had to get a charger here. But yeah, there's our lager tanks.
There they are. Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Right up to the taps back there.
Look like bariatric chambers.
How big? Yeah, right. How big?
Behind the bar.
How big of tanks are they?
They look like bariatric chambers where Mahomes is sitting in one.
Are 10. However, we have 20 barrel stacked tanks on order, so we've actually sold those 10 barrels. So in February we're gonna swap them out for double the size, because when you're waiting almost 3 months for a lager,
well, yeah, exactly,
you might as well have double the amount.
You might as well have twice as much. Yeah, exactly. It takes the same amount of time to brew 20 barrels as it does to brew 10 barrels.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well. But in any event, there was one other thing we wanted to ask before we move on to news.
Yeah, I tried to segue into it talking about your hat, John.
Yes, well,
I tried. I gave it to you.
Well, no, you did. Well, as far as my hat goes, this is obviously purchased at the source. At the source. And speaking of hats, really quick, just as an aside, I see the hat you're wearing there.
Yeah, that's NJCB.
NJCB. What is that? What is NJCB?
NJCB is New Jersey Craft Beer, doing the good work.
New Jersey Craft Beer. That would be Mike Kivowitz.
Mike, we were expecting a little thing.
Yeah, Mike. Hook us up a little bit. Mike and I go way back.
We all do.
We all do.
We always joke that he's got a clone because he's always everywhere that anything beer is happening.
There's 6 of him, Greg. Yeah. There's 6 of him.
So. 666 of him, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And his wife is annoyed with each and every one of them. So
as she should be.
But yeah, I guess the only thing I was going to ask you was, where do you see the future? Where do you as far as beers you've brewed already, and maybe other styles you want to get into? I'm just curious what the next year, as far as slated beers, things you're on the horizon that you're thinking of.
So we definitely want to expand our lager program. And as I alluded to, we've got some longer term projects in wood and certain fooders and barrels of various spirits. We've got wild, we've got sour, and we've got just some clean beers that are maturing now. So we're definitely going to be starting to do some more bottle releases of that nature.
Nice.
We're going to keep the hazies coming and keep our rotating series going where we feature different hops, increasing the amount and styles of lagers that we do.
Right.
We're trying to get the whole spectrum, and we've got we got our first Schwarzbier in the pipeline.
Oh, now you're talking.
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, John, I will give you money when I see you.
So
do you have fooders on property now?
We had a fooder that we had to move offsite to a different facility, just because we were running out of space here. And then when we got to the pandemic and we switched from 95% drafts to like 100% canning, fooder really wasn't doing much good sitting here. We're like, okay, that'll be ready in a year. So we replaced that with 2 10-barrel fermenters. So we have a 10-barrel system. Most of our fermenters are 20 barrels, so we can double batch.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll be able to double batch the lagers. But we have 10 barrels where that fooder was so that we can churn more clean beers and keep our weekly releases going along. And we like to do some fun seasonal stuff there, like saisons and Belgian styles, and throwing some good dark beers.
Plans to bring that fooder back on site, or?
Oh yes, we've got plans. We've got plans for fooders and expanding how much beer we can do. Without getting into too much details, we certainly have.
Oh, no, I don't want to give away the farm. No pun intended.
We expand and do some things. So.
Gotcha.
So being in farmlands, any thought to open fermentation with cool ships or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've got, like I said, definitely part of the growth trajectory will be investing more in the sour production, and not just sour, but also wild, like Brettanomyces beers, red IPAs,
nice. Because you're not that close to the horse farm, so that'll work.
No, we just go grab some blankets and get some hay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I was still trying to feed John the segue when I was talking about your hat, John. Your hat says Farmhouse Brewery. Was the question.
Yes.
So farmhouse. You kind of somewhat answered John's question, because John and I do talk before the show.
Sure.
Is being farmhouse. Your website says that the terrace has the hop binds, right? So you're starting to grow your own hops. Are there other things that you are growing that you use, but you kind of answered that, if it's grown in Monmouth County, you're using it, right?
Right. So they're Grown in Monmouth is a great organization, and we've worked with Rutgers as well to source different ingredients. And
alma mater.
We've got beautiful. We've got the Fur Farm, where we've foraged some berries there, honey on multiple occasions. We've got cranberries from Rutgers. We've gotten hazelnuts from Rutgers. So if there's someone producing an ingredient that we would like to use in the area, we've been kind of partnering with them or working with them to get it into the beer, as opposed to growing it on premise, just for the fact of, our outdoor space is mostly dedicated to spacing out our Adirondack chairs and our picnic tables.
Yep,
sure.
The experience.
And it's about the experience too.
Yeah, it's about the experience. There's so many farms around us. Colts Neck is a very agricultural town with a lot of history there. So we've actually worked with probably over a dozen farmers and people producing various berries and really anything. So I got a handful of people that I reach out to when it comes time, or who will send me messages when certain things are ready for harvest coming up, because they know that we're interested. So every season we do try to do a few of those beers where we work in something fun. And this right here actually is one of them. This is a winter saison. So
before you get to that, the reason I'm chuckling is because we're talking about Rutgers. We're talking about berries. And there is one particular berry that Rutgers is very famous for in developing. Many strains and varieties, and I wonder if you would ever consider doing a beer with it. It's not, most people don't consider this a berry, but the beefsteak tomato.
Oh, no kidding.
Rutgers, their agricultural school, Cook College, has done a lot. Yeah, they've done a lot with the tomatoes. So, not a lot of tomato beers out there.
No.
We do a nice crispy Pilsner with some tomato juice and basil and hops. Be a nice beer to go.
Pizza beer.
Yeah, pizza beer.
There we go.
That's
Make it happen.
I put it in.
Hey, John, we've got another Lager Room collaboration.
We
with
got
Brewery
another
Garden.
Lager Room. Yes.
Mhm.
Let's get in on that. There'll be a
Yeah, we gotta
Lager Room
work with-
collaboration. We'll come in and we'll
We'll
mill the
clean our
grain.
we'll clean our feet and we'll squash the tomatoes.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Then we'll
You can do that. I'll mill the grain.
open from
There you go.
natural bacteria.
Okay. Now I apologize because I never want to keep anybody from going to their next beer. So
Exactly.
move on to your next beer, there, Greg.
All right, so we do like to brew with the seasons. It certainly affects my drinking choices. So we're in the cold months now. We've previously released the summer saison, a fall saison, and this is our winter saison. And we're going to do a spring one. But this one here,
Got all four of them.
it's a super saison, technically, which is a true style. And
Does that mean that the ABV is higher, or
this ABV is higher. This one's 10%, so it's quite
or
high.
it's saison? Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of saison. I would say is the style that has the most wiggle room in terms of like there's table beers which are underneath the saison category. You have saisons, and then you have super saisons, which just might be even higher than that. But
Wasn't that style just originally developed for the field workers in France? Correct.
correct. Hence,
And they were very, very low in alcohol to start with.
Sure.
right. They were kind of whatever extra grains were being harvested, throw them together, and it'll be a low strength beer for sustenance.
Right.
But it's pretty.
And now we're going 10% on them.
Yeah. So we're taking our artistic license here a bit.
We're making American.
Yeah, exactly. The Americans go bigger.
Absolutely.
Hoppier.
Go big or go home, right?
Yeah. This one, despite its color, isn't roasty.
No, it's not.
I used just the bare minimum amount of specialty grains to give it this color. And this had probably about 10% of the fermentables using honey from the New Jersey Pine Barrens. So it's wildflower honey, so it's composed of a lot of blueberry flower and other wildflowers in the Pine Barren region. So it's kind of like it's like one of the best-selling honeys that they were known for, Fruitwood Orchards, and it helps to lighten up this beer. So this this drink's more like a lighter Belgian. So most of that flavor is coming from yeast. It's spicy, it's dry, it's effervescent. It's not roasty.
It sounds yummy.
Yeah.
There may be a can of that in that box I was referring to before.
I haven't had this in a while.
So that's great. Yeah, the beer I've had it. That is a delicious one.
Thank you.
So absolutely. Mr. Samurai, sir, your second beer.
My second beer actually ties into the threes, and we haven't done industry news yet, John.
All right, so why don't we do? Well, there was only one thing I wanted to bring up, and why we're going to just be.
We're gonna rail on this one. So
yeah, why not? So all right, I'm not sure if you are aware, Greg, but last week, actually might have been the week before, Jim Beam put out a brand new campaign about basically announcing that. The tagline in the commercial on TV was "Need a break from beer."
Oh.
Yeah. Drink our bourbon with ginger ale instead. That kind of thing.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a commercial about having a Jim Beam cocktail instead of beer, and specifically instead of beer. Need a break from beer? Mm-hmm. Have this. So
the lager,
wine, huh?
Yeah.
So you want to get harder spirits linked with high fructose corn syrup.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. No hangover there. No headache.
None whatsoever. No.
So the Lager Room has officially announced a boycott of any Jim Beam product or any beer aged in a Jim Beam.
No more Jim Beam.
No more Jim Beam.
Nope.
Somebody's going to pay dearly in the marketing department. Jim Beam.
I got to come for beer, man. You're making stuff out of barley too.
Well, the thing is, they have to make Jim Beam. They have to technically make beer.
Yeah.
Right, and then you distill the beer. I mean, it's not beer you're going to drink anyway.
Right. Rough beer.
Yeah, not that I drink Jim Beam in the first place. I like better bourbon. Another shot across the bow.
There you go. But it's Jim Beam has its place. I've had it before.
It does.
But
when you've got something to mix into it.
Ginger ale.
Yeah, what you do.
ginger ale with a slice of lemon. That was in the commercial too.
When you need a break from beer.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't foresee myself ever needing a break from beer. So sorry.
You know what? Yeah. Well, there you go. That's the answer, right? We don't need a break from beer. So
No.
Don't people drink beers like they get a shot with a beer on the side? That's like
why would you?
Sidecar.
Yeah, sidecar.
Sidecar chaser, right?
Beer because that shot was intense.
Exactly. There should have been. It should have been more like need something to drink alongside your beer.
There you go.
Why
make enemies?
Right. Exactly.
And they've made an enemy of the lager room. I'm sure they're quaking in their boots.
And you know what? I mean, anybody in the craft beer industry obviously is going to take umbrage to this and so forth and so on. But just think about it 1 second. And I'm not even, I'm not even going to go there. Well, I'm going to go there, but you know what I'm saying.
There.
There's a little bit bigger of companies, if you will, conglomerates, if you will, that are in the beer industry, not the craft beer industry, but the beer industry that might take umbrage to that too. And they got deep pockets. Just curious,
Yeah, they do.
So, why say that? I'm not exactly sure what they were thinking when they came up with that campaign, but hey, you know what? To each his own. We got a comment here. Let's just see if it has anything to do with. Oh, nope. It was somebody else a little couple minutes ago. Something sounds awesome from Susan Raleigh.
I hope she's not talking about Jim Beam.
Something sounds awesome. I'm not sure exactly. Susan, let us know what it was that sounded awesome, because we talked about about 7 or 8 different things since you said that. I apologize, but let us know exactly what you meant.
Because if you're talking about Jim Beam, then I'm going to return your birthday present and get you some Jim Beam.
Which we call, and Brian earlier, there's our producer right there. He said he's still working, so that's why he's not here. And but Dave Campanelle is here. So,
hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave. Sorry, but in any event, I'm not exactly sure what they come up, why they came up with that one. So we'll put a check mark in that and see how that story develops. There's been a few articles written on it. We'll see how it morphs and what they do to work their way out of whatever issues they have made. But anyway.
But now I'm going to open my second beer.
Now you can open your second beer. While you open your second beer.
I actually stopped myself from opening my second beer. I stopped him from opening his second beer. I got to figure out a way to stop you from opening your second.
You'll think of something, I'm sure.
I'll think of something. I'm good that way. Yeah. So we can see the glass here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, because I'm still paying tribute to Proclamation.
Yes.
Who lost their owner on Christmas Day. So I'm going to go with Trope because I started with sour, and Trope is a sour IPA, which is a style dear to John's heart.
Yes.
And this one, you want to talk another combination? So again, put on the readers here. We've got a sour double IPA. This has got mango, pineapple, passion fruit, coconut, vanilla, and lactose. So I'm sticking with a theme here with the coconut and the sour, but we're transitioning.
So it's a sour milkshake IPA.
Pretty much. And if you look at that, it kind of, it's got that color.
Yeah.
And I'm drinking it out of a knock it off glass, which is something Proclamation did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did this with the Frog and Toad, which is a store here in Providence, and this is something that the governor here, Gina Raimondo, had said during COVID. People gathering and all that. She, at one point, got kind of aggravated during one of her press conferences and went, "Knock it off." So they played off of that. I actually have the shirt as well. Notice we don't have lot of head up.
You buying merch? Really? No.
What the hell? Look who's talking. Your merch level is much higher than mine. But
the log room cap should be done anytime soon, by the way.
Oh, please, thank you.
Nice.
How is that?
That is I need an umbrella for this.
Really?
That's
a tropical drink is what you're drinking there.
This is a tropical drink.
Right.
It's soured with a beer aftertaste. Seriously,
I'm curious. It's a sour milkshake IPA. I mean, there's vanilla and lactose in it, so.
Yeah, no, it's
Is it curdle?
To what?
No, he's saying it's a sour milkshake. I was like, is it going to curdle?
Yeah, exactly, right. A sour milk. It's not a sour milk shake IPA.
I remember checking into a
Or a
hotel
milkshake sour IPA.
in the Bahamas once and being handed a hurricane glass with this in it.
There you go.
But it couldn't have. Proclamation didn't exist 25 years ago.
This is true.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, I really need that little umbrella for this. So, no, John, I won't interrupt you in opening your second.
that's all right. Well, I'll interrupt me in opening my second just to get back to Susan's comment. She said not Jim Beam. So there you go.
And now someone's curious.
And now someone's curious, right? So there you go. All right. Well, my second beer is from, obviously, Source Brewing. I'm going to be opening
Big surprise.
Warm Embrace. Warm Embrace. It is a 7.5% porter.
It's been sitting there for nearly an hour, so it should be a good temperature.
This is true. This is very true. Yeah, actually, it is perfect, actually. So I'm going to be pouring it in my... actually, I think it's the same Source glass that Greg is drinking out of. So just pour it here. There we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
There you go. Oh, that's nice. Oh, wow. Chocolate. Definitely chocolate. Coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Nice roast. Little nutty.
Things go
nice.
great with some chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, this is nice. This is really good.
Mm-mm.
This is really good.
Not popcorn, though.
No popcorn?
No, I wouldn't go with popcorn.
No, I wouldn't go with popcorn.
We got some chocolate popcorn.
Actually,
I was
maybe
gonna say chocolate-covered popcorn.
Caramel popcorn.
Or caramel-covered popcorn.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice.
That'd be good.
But you know why? You know why I transitioned to an IPA, John?
Why did you transition to an IPA, Dave?
Because we're going to go into our top threes.
Our top threes. I'll explain it to Greg really quick. Greg, we have a section.
You didn't give him a heads up.
No.
Okay,
he knows what the list is, but we have a section called 33s. We call it 33s because it's paying homage to 1933, the repeal provision.
Great year.
So we originally, when we were going to do a top list, we were like, all right, should we do 10? Well, 10 would take too long. We would have to start at like 15 minutes into the podcast to get to it by the end, So, so do top threes, 3 each. We're good to go. So this week's top 3 is top 3 IPAs that got us into drinking IPAs. So, and because you are our guest, we are going to wish that you would please go first.
All right. Well, my diving into beer was quite. As soon as I started tasting different beers, I was just all about it, trying to taste anything that I hadn't had and anything that was new. So these would have probably been a lot of the pre-hazy IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up in Delaware, Dogfish Head was my go-to. So I got to throw the 60-minute on there.
Sure.
And then, probably I drank a lot of Victory as well. So I would say that, those two breweries and probably, I'll throw Sierra Nevada as well. I probably drank a lot more of their pale ale than their IPAs, but Torpedo is a great beer.
Sure, Torpedo's a great beer.
That's a hop oil beer, is it not?
Yeah, exactly.
If you, like the good West Coast style bitter IPAs, that's amazing. Dogfish 60-minute, just super flavorful and easy to drink. And then, Victory, I think those guys, I don't think you could go wrong blindly buying anything that they put out because it's going to be good.
What would you say? Which was Hop Devil would be the
yeah,
the
for
beer?
Victory, I would probably say Hop Devil. Yeah, more like Dirt Wolf or something more recent.
Dirt Wolf's a great beer too. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a great beer. But then when I was, because you said that got me into drinking IPAs. So I think like when I had started drinking IPAs, I was into IPAs. So it was really like what were the ones that I got near me at that time.
Sure.
And then as things went on, I tried many IPAs since then, and I think
Of course. I mean,
getting my first Heady Topper was kind of a cool experience.
Sure.
As it is for everybody. Yeah.
Cool banger too.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like a precursor, straddling the waters from the West Coast to the hazy realm where we find ourselves today. But
Sure. And what's funny is it started the whole, New England IPA craze, and it couldn't even be called
it
New
wouldn't
England
be.
today.
No, not now.
Yeah.
It's now an East Coast IPA.
Absolutely, yeah. And just as an aside, on talking about that too, and we'll get your opinion. I know Dave and I are pretty much lockstep on this one, but as much as I love Heady Topper and Focal Banger, my favorite IPA from Alchemist is the Crusher.
Yeah.
Such
Which
a good
when I
beer.
first saw it, I assumed it was their like session version, but it's like 9%,
Yeah.
more than both of those. So,
Yeah.
It'll crush you.
Yeah.
crusher in that sense. Like, you don't.
Such
It crushes you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's,
Normally, when you talk about a crushable beer,
it's not
you're
crushable, it's
not crushable. You are right.
It's not you're not crushing it; it's crushing you.
In Russia, beer crushes you.
Exactly.
Vodka.
So, all right, Dave, what are
Before we move on, he brought up Torpedo, and I got
yeah.
Torpedo is such a good beer, and I remember.
You are. I mean, I love Sierra Nevada too. Don't get me wrong, but you are a huge Torpedo lover. So,
Well, I love Torpedo. I remember going to this must have been Bergen Pack. They may not have been Bergen Pack at the time. To go see an opera, and the only thing that can make an opera interesting is a lot of beer.
sure.
And for some reason, they were selling Torpedo in cans. I must have had 2 or 3 of those. Such a good beer. But to segue into this, the Sierra Nevada, the Pale Ale. So the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and we talked. If you ever watch Augie Carton's TED Talk about beer as cuisine, he talks about Sierra Nevada Pale Ale as they started the whole game of hoppy, right? And is it a Pale Ale or is it an IPA? That's always been a question. They call it a Pale Ale, but it may have been the first IPA.
I'm on the board. I'm on board with the people that call it the first IPA because
so am I.
Way too hoppy to just be a Pale Ale.
Yeah, that's always, for anybody who says, what got you into drinking IPAs, that's there. But the question is what IPAs got you into drinking IPAs, and it's not billed as an IPA, so we're giving it the mention. But like John said, him and I being I'm older than him, but not by a whole lot. so we have pretty much the same experience going through. So anytime we bring up these kind of categories, we tend to argue over. Okay, you take this one, you take that one, you take this one, you take that one.
Because our answers are the same. So
we're not even going to bother with this one. Our 3 answers are the same 3 beers. We're going to pass them off. I'm going to start off because the first IPA I ever really drank,
which is mine too, but go ahead.
Which was John's first IPA. This is Cracked Our IPA Cherries, was Harpoon's IPA. That's been around probably since 88, 89. I know I drank it in 88. It may have been earlier than that.
It was,
and
it was the late 80s. I couldn't honestly tell you whether it was 87, 88, or 89, but it was one of. It was in there.
It's in there. And I was running bookstores.
Not to date ourselves, Craig. Sorry.
No, not at all.
I love that. Yeah.
We were legal drinking age at the time. So, but I remember I was running bookstores at the time. I was talking to a guy about it, and I think Harpoon IPA was something like 6.1. Or it's in the 6. I think it was in the
6.1, 6.2, 6. It's in the 6s. Yeah.
It's in the low 6s. Yeah. And back then, I proclaimed that they've understated the ABV because 2 of those would have me stumbling.
Right.
But then again, that just may have been my my tolerance.
With people who had
it was your tolerance when you were 21 years old.
Coors Lights.
Yeah, right. That's all we knew at the time, right?
Yeah.
So John, what's our number 2?
Our number 2 would be our number 2. I love that. What's our number 2? First time I ever had Simcoe hops. That I know of anyway. I mean, they could have been they could have been a blend of other hops in a beer that wasn't announced that what the hop profile was. But first time I ever specifically had Simcoe hops, and this is why I said make a note of where you used to work.
There you go.
Double Simcoe.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That beer, if they ever bring that beer back, I'm buying the first case. So,
And they retired it, and I don't know if people really were saying what the hops were at that time, or at least not calling like the name of the beer necessarily.
Sure, right? Yeah,
No,
of
that's a
course.
great point. I hadn't thought of that, but you're right. Yeah.
Now it's everybody.
Well, yeah.
Back if you were saying like, oh, this is Sultana and Brew One, and
Right.
people be like,
Well, Sultana and Brew One didn't even exist back then. But that's,
Well, what was it? McKellar who first came out with the single hop series,
Sure.
right? Where it's named after all the. Yeah, I think they were the first.
I love that idea.
Yeah, they were great.
Great.
So
but
the
yeah, you're right when you think about it. That Weyerbacher did something that nobody else had done before. They named a beer after the hop.
Yeah, don't quote me on that, but I just
you might be right.
time.
Well,
Brian,
if somebody else did it, it was a very small brewery, and it didn't get in front of a lot of people. Because if you think about it, when they first, and obviously this wasn't a couple of years ago. This was a long time ago.
95. They were on Dogfish Head when they opened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we got to give Brian some work on that one. The thing about Double Simcoe, as I mentioned that their tasting bar was made off of like shipping pallets and all that, and the bottles that they were pouring out of, so you would get Double Simcoe on draft,
right,
in the little plastic cup.
50s back, right? It was like
you got the cage and cork, which is the bottle conditioned version.
Bottle conditioned version of Double Simcoe is.
Oh my God, the creaminess, the mouthfeel of that beer.
And literally a different beer than the draft version. It was, or.
And Sierra Nevada used to also can condition their Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and that's how most of the breweries everyone has access to the Chico yeast strain, they call it,
which is from Jersey.
Every major yeast lab has that strain of yeast banked because they were bottle conditioning it, can conditioning it, and you could just the little dregs in the bottom of your bottle of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale was yeast that you could plate and propagate up from a single colony and pitch that into homebrew, and then cat's out of the bag. So
if you knew what to do with yeast, you didn't have to buy your yeast.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you bought it, but you were buying the beer, and they just had it. It came with the beer.
So, they were for sure. Sierra Nevada is definitely on my Mount Rushmore of brewers.
Oh, and Dave will tell you when you talk about Sierra Nevada, and I've said this several times in the last several weeks, obviously, because my favorite holiday beer. And as much as I love winter warmers and everything else, and I'm still drinking them now, it's January, and I know summer beers are coming out within the next couple of weeks, with seasonal creep and everything else. But
with pumpkins right behind.
Pumpkins will be out by April. But my favorite holiday beer is Celebration Ale. It's just such a good beer. It's amazing. I think I bought 2 cases of it this year.
We do mention Sierra Nevada a lot on here because even we were talking about the retired beers, and Sierra Nevada's Tumbler came up.
Sure.
Right, that was one of mine.
That was really good. I remember that.
Right, that was one of my. I lamented when they discontinued that beer.
Yeah, that was a shame. And Sierra Nevada too. When they remember Beer Camp.
Remember God, those were great.
The first beer camp they did, the first beer camp there was, Sierra Nevada did Alt Root. It was an alt beer. Such a good alt beer. It was ridiculous.
Who did they do that with?
They did it with
because those were all collabs.
They were all collabs. I'll think of it. It'll come to me. I'll think of it. But yeah, just an amazing brewery. But anyway, so why don't you tell us what our third beer is?
Our third beer is, and you mentioned the brewery earlier, Greg, and you came really close to the one that really kind of got both of us. You mentioned 60 Minute from Dogfish Head, but for John and I, it was 90 Minute.
90.
And I always said 60 Minute was kind of more along the, British IPA tradition. It had a maltier backbone to it. It still does, that's store. Where 90 Minute was more of the American style IPA, where it was very hop forward. You had more of a biscuity or cracker backbone to it, rather than that full malt flavor that you get out of 60 Minute.
Absolutely.
And so the hops really shone through on 90 Minute, and still to this day, I know a lot of craft beer snobs have moved on. The new thing, the next thing. And I'm guilty of that. But, every now and then you've got to go back to that 90 Minute and remember where it all, where it came from, right? From your home state, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, I said 60 Minute because I probably had it first and had more of it. But 90 I like the taste better. And I think, like you said, a go-to, you know, I got a lot of beers surrounding myself with Source and, you know, having a brewery and all that. But when I do want to go out and, you know, you see a 4-pack of 90 Minute for $9.99, like that is just
I'm walking past it, you just grab it off the shelf and put
yeah.
it on.
It's an automatic
There's no
grab.
question. It's just boom.
Those are like one of the, you know, like the first wave brewers, craft brewers that they've just done things right the whole time. And I really look up to Dogfish Head and Sierra Nevada. You know, quality has always been at the top for them.
Absolutely.
And you just know that you're going to get something great.
Well, we're talking about the cork and cage version of Simcoe, Double Simcoe, and 90 Minute had its own Squall. And
Squall,
that was brought up because I think that was also one of the discontinued beers.
It was
on my list of discontinued beers was Squall, the bottle conditioned version of. So
it was on Brian's too. And
yeah, was it?
Our producers, yes.
Yes, right.
And he hasn't mentioned a thing in this entire show, but he's our producer.
Because he's working. He's busy.
He's working. He's busy.
You know, we don't pay him, so I'll bring you some beer, Brian. So Squall was to 90 Minute was, you know, just like the cork and cage of Double Simcoe was to, you know, the can version.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the 12-ounce bottle version back then.
Right.
And they've got the 75 Minute too.
That's great.
On cask at the brew pub in Rehoboth.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was kind of like designed for cask, and it only was sold in the 750 milliliter format at least then.
750s, and they're not cork and cage; they're just capped.
Yeah,
they were just capped.
But I think 90 Minute overall was like the best flavor. 60 Minute is the one that you'll find out at the bars that kind of gets a lot of people into it.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. 60 Minutes become a gateway beer.
Yeah.
Is.
Which is a great
which is fine. The more gateway beers there are, the better.
Yeah.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned.
For a lot of people, it was probably like Sam Adams Boston Lager, or like you hear some people say like Newcastle Brown, and you know, just any sort of beer that wasn't a
American adjunct lager.
Oh yeah, I mean there were plenty of beers back in the day that I drank that were, you know, I mean
Valentine. They had the IPA there.
Valentine had an IPA.
Yeah, where do you think Chico came from?
Yeah, well, they did a Burton too, Valentine, way back when. I mean, they were doing a Burton Ale. Valentine was doing a Burton Ale back in the 40s.
What I keep referring to is there's that story that Valentine's yeast was taken by Sierra Nevada to make Chico.
Whoa, is that the precursor?
Precursor to the precursor, yeah.
Yes, it is.
There you go. Well, there's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. The veracity of it goes back and forth, but so a lot of people claim that Chico yeast came out of Newark, New Jersey.
There you go.
Yep.
That is true. That is very true.
And
it's true that there's talk about it. It's true that there's talk about it.
And the thing is the source that you're getting it from right now is, you know, we got 3 Jersey boys sitting here. Well, 2 Jersey boys and a Delaware boy who's now a Jersey boy.
Yeah.
Talking about it, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt.
There you go. This is true.
On your popcorn.
Right. Just so you're aware, by the way, that Sierra Nevada Alt Root beer, that was, as soon as I saw it, I had to look it up. I was thinking, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's right. He's not doing his job. No, it was a collab with Victory. And I remembered that too. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, that's right. It was a collab with Victory. So, yeah.
They got the German heritage. I know one of the owners, which one did their studies in Germany. So they do have a good German tradition. You see they've made a lot of lagers in the day, and I definitely see Source doing some more lagers in addition to our hazy IPAs, and we've got a lot of cool pastry stouts and adjuncted stouts to go with our saisons and whatnot. So
I'm really looking forward to your sours, though.
Yeah, the sours I'm looking forward to. More of the lagers. Absolutely.
Hard, but it's fun.
They're all great. Well, that's, I mean, like I was going to say before too. The when you brought up the other beers and like Sam Adams Boston Lager, that's definitely that's definitely something that I tried. You know, it was probably one of the first beers.
That was the gateway beer for Mon and John's generation.
Yeah, absolutely. That and some Samuel Smiths as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Samuel Smiths back then.
A lot of people on in the 90s.
Yeah. And Pete's Wicked Ale too. Oddly enough, it's a hoppy brown ale, but it still did the job. But Sam Adams Boston Lager was definitely the gateway beer, if you will. All right. Well, want to thank you for coming on. I mean, this has been great.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. This is fun.
Absolutely. And definitely we got to do this again in the future. And at some point, once this is done, and when I say this, I mean the pandemic and social distancing and the quarantine and the whole 9 yards. We'll have to come to the Source and do one live from there.
When we catch each other, I'll take you in, pour you some stuff out of the tanks. We've got always some beers need some sampling in there out of the tank. So
that'd be a great place to do the show. Set up a little table.
Palette in there, yeah.
We could do that, definitely, absolutely.
Oh my, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. All right.
Get Jeremy on camera.
Well, there you go.
We'll get Jeremy here too. Maybe when we've got some things to talk about with some future expansions, we can set up another show.
I could tell you a couple of stories, and Jeremy, well, if he remembers them, I kind of don't, but specifically one of the first AC Beer Fest at Carton was that. But
you mentioned to me that you guys had gone back, so I was like, "Oh, there's some stories there."
There's a few.
So
there may be some bus tour stories
as well. Absolutely. Yeah. So, there you go. Anyway, but we'll definitely do that. We'll definitely book it in the future. We'll definitely have to do that. All right. Well, that'll wrap up this show for today. We want to thank everyone for watching. And for those of you listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday at 5:30. And for those of you that want to just listen to the and for those of you that want to just listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great weekend. Greg, once again, thanks for coming on with us. You were an amazing guest, and it was a great time. I had a lot of fun. Cheers.
Likewise.
To you guys at Source, and you and yourself, and Phil, and Kerry, and Jeremy, and everybody over there. And we will talk to you soon, folks. Cheers, guys. Take care. Have a good one.
They found him face down in his waffles, maple syrup dripping from his fake rug. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that he shit out of luck. This